price. A life without pain just isn't right. So put on a happy face. Put on. Put on a happy face. Put on. So put on a happy face. Put on. Put on a happy face. Oh yeah. Put on. Oh yeah. So put on a happy face. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Don't forget, every Monday through Thursday at 9 p.m., it's Meet Your Neighbor with host Mike Johnson.
If we give folks more reasons and fewer barriers to use transit, at least not all the time, you can't expect that right now either, but fewer times, drive fewer times, use transit more, I think we're going to finally see the open space we want to see. The roads will hopefully become less congested, and we're going to get that kind of legroom, living room that we would want. But it's a way to build density around transit, which can be a very logical place to put it. And then when you can add affordable housing into that mix, you can get some pretty magical stuff, because then a person has an affordable place to live. They have public transit right nearby, and sometimes you can even get a utility subsidy built into the scheme of the program. And so that's a really powerful blend of opportunity for folks who could live near us, in our city in the future.
As we interview people in the neighborhood and tell great stories right here on Decatur FM.
10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, Decatur? It's the one and only Ludacris, and guess what? It's time to meet your neighbor with your host, Mike Johnson, my dog. Hey, MJ, who you got in the studio with you, man?
It's Decatur FM. We are any and everything Decatur right here. Another great day in the neighborhood, everybody. It's Wednesday, and it's nice outside. It was hot as you know what, and hopefully that continues, because you know what happens on Friday, right? It's the first day of summer, and the DBA is doing our Decatur Beach Festival in downtown Decatur. Hope everybody's going to be there. It's going to be a blast tonight. I'll Meet Your Neighbor. I got a good friend of mine. I'll tell you, man, this guy has a set of accolades from here to North Decatur Road, so I'm not going to go through all of them. I'll be here forever. Great friend of mine, and I was happy to call on him and say, listen, come through Decatur FM. I want to introduce you to the neighborhood, and I want you to tell some stories. And I didn't even have to get into that. He was like, I'm done. Just sent me. So I'd like to welcome Kenny Burns to the to the studio.
Sir.
Welcome,
so proud of you.
Welcome to Decatur FM.
Yeah, we're in the treehouse, bro.
We're sitting here going, I'm so proud of you, like old men.
No, I am. You cease to amaze me.
Wait, listen, no, man. I'm glad that you had a chance to come in, sit down, chat with me for a little bit.
You said all you had to do was ask. I was here.
Yeah,
no questions.
Just hit you on the hip, man. What's been going on? How you been?
Hey, everything, man. I actually just worked out. Did you see my pull-up game today?
No, I did not.
My pull-up game is
so
46.
How many?
I think I did 19, 3 sets of 19. I have sets.
Underhand or over?
So there was a hanging thing, right?
Yeah.
So you pull up this way and you end up coming to like a curl kind of vibe, right? So it's like, and it hangs from the bar.
I don't think I could do 20. I don't think I could do 20 straight.
Yeah, but you're in shape. You're like a triathlon.
Yeah, but 20 straight is still that's still beastly, bro.
No, it is. It is.
No.
And if I took protein, I'd be really...
You did 3 sets of it, too,
yeah,
which is crazy.
You do 3 sets of each exercise.
Let me let everybody know who the gentleman that's sitting across from me in the studio is. So, Kenny Burns hails from... He's showing me his... Oh, so you did TRX.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the TRX one. Yeah, that's pretty hard.
Crucial.
Yeah, it's pretty hard.
Crucial.
That's pretty sick. So, he hails from the DMV.
Yes, Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C., as we would identify it as D.C., Maryland, Virginia. Born and raised, grew up. I'll give you the cliff notes, because like I said, we'd be here for a while. Ended up as a promoter.
Yeah, came
start.
Started throwing parties in college.
So did parties in college.
92, by the way.
Back in 1992, did the party scene, moved into the to the music scene.
Yes, Monica was my first artist.
Rubbed shoulders with everybody as small as. Name a group.
I mean, we started Monica. We brought Jay-Z to Atlanta.
I said from small, man.
Biggie Smalls.
I was really trying to.
The Elite.
I was really trying to like drum roll, please. People as small. So I put it like this: he'll deal with people as small as me to people as big as Jay-Z, right? Yeah. Regardless, and he'll take all our calls. He's been in the music scene. He's music executive. Discovered so many different acts that we enjoy today. And I'm talking about from a creative standpoint to personal friend standpoint, and then you cross over into the fashion scene.
Yep, second black designers ever in Saks Fifth Avenue.
So you're doing that again now.
My son has a line, yeah.
I'm talking about you though, back in the day, right?
Oh yeah.
I'm talking about like your entry into these different fields.
Absolutely.
Right. So you did that, radio, TV host.
Yes.
You and I actually did a venture together.
We did.
So many different things that you've done. Right?
Yeah.
And it's all tagged under being a lifestyle specialist.
Yes, sir.
That's what he calls himself. That's what he is. That's what he's mastered. And we were just talking about you the other day.
Yeah.
And we were saying, like somebody was asking me, like, what is a lifestyle specialist? That's a question you get.
Yes, all the time.
Right? I said, last time I saw Kenny, like we had lunch at Houston's.
Right. Our favorite spot.
Yeah. And he said to me something that was interesting. He said, listen, man. So as we were talking, he's like, listen, man, I just got to be good at what I do. I said, what is that? You go, I sell dreams. And when I heard that, I kind of thought for a second, I don't know if you ever saw Wolf of Wall Street.
Absolutely.
But there was a scene where Matthew McConaughey and Leonardo DiCaprio was talking. They were in a high rise, and he's like, we sell stocks just like fairy dust. And that's what I thought about. I was like, is it fairy dust? And then the more I started thinking about it, I was like, you know what? You have a mantra that you say the dream is real all the time.
All the time.
And you sell dreams, meaning, listen, this is what I have for sale. I'm going to manifest something, right, with my mind.
That's right.
And then I'm going to put it into play, and that's the dream, and it becomes real. And I'll sell you one.
Yeah.
In other words,
I'll sell you the fact that you can do it too.
Right, exactly. It's a blueprint.
Absolutely.
Almost, right?
100%.
So I started understanding it a little bit more, than just the fairy dust type thing. Because, at first, you tell anybody on the street, I'm going to sell you a dream.
Yeah.
What you think the answer's going to be.
They're going to look at you crazy.
Right? But really, when you get into the layers of that, so much sense. So I wanted to talk about that and your dream as you build it.
Yeah.
And how you think in today's world, in such a crazy world that we live in, how we can start kind of like building these dreams of realism, not only with your life and success and career, but more so like the love, the community,
100%. What matters most, right?
Yeah. So let's start from the beginning.
Yeah.
DC boy.
DC, yeah. Was a knucklehead.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out single parent home, much like a lot of us young black boys back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And didn't have the father figure. Didn't have the punch you in the chest or the choke you up by your neck and say, don't do that.
Right.
Mom worked all day, so I had a full day to get into stuff, and I did. And come senior year, got in some trouble, and my cousin went off to college, came to Morehouse.
Yeah.
And as I was figuring out the trouble, he calls, like, you got to come to Freaknik. I'm like, what? He's like, Freaknik.
Right.
It's black college heaven.
Right.
I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, Kenny, trust me. You got to come down here, bro. It's the best thing that ever happened to you. Trust me. And I'm like, okay, bet. So I figured it out with my PO, got down here, saw Freaknik. And just the Atlanta University Center in general, with Morehouse Spelman, Clark Atlanta. Then, we had friends from Emory and Georgia State, and then, all these people from UGA. And I'm like, wait, Atlanta's the best thing I've ever seen in my life. So I went home, figured out that fall I was here. Now, back then there was no social media.
At all.
So people had to go run and talk about you. So my cousin had built me up like I was Scarface. So by the time I got here, it was like, oh, that's cousin Kenny. He's a big deal, blah, blah, blah. And then by the time I moved back, it was like, it's party time. So the things I saw Puff do, because I was in high school when he was at Howard throwing parties, and when he started working with Joe DeCino, so he would bring that energy to DC. So I was like, I'm taking that to Atlanta, and I'm doing it. And so through this party, I rented a loft. Let me tell you this funny story. I rented a loft off of Marietta Street. That was loft heaven back in those days. Yeah. So I rented a loft. This guy, he did me bad, bro. He took my money, didn't act like the electricity didn't work. But what happened was, it was 1,000 people outside. They were like, yo, how did he get 1,000 people from campus? Because, you know, people weren't leaving campus all the way over to Marietta Street where the Phoenix used to be, right?
Right.
And so we're outside, and they're like, yo, so the guy down the street at the Phoenix saw it, and he was like, yo, what do you do? I was like, I'm a party promoter from D.C. I run AUC. I didn't even know what else to say, right? He said, I want you to promote. It was at the Phoenix at the time. He's like, come promote. So started promoting the Phoenix, and, you know, we were bringing acts like Luke, and so I started connecting artists with the club. Next thing you know, they were like, do you want to do a night? I'm like, absolutely. So the Funk Clinic started, bro, and it was over. I'm talking about, we brought the Big Mac promo.
The Funk Clinic.
The Funk Clinic, bro. We used to do like paper flyers with medicine bottle picture on it with our 2620 logo on the pills. It was genius. It was amazing.
Yeah, no, sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but every time,
You do.
every time we get into these antics, I end up like cracking up.
No,
right?
it's
Because I
hilarious.
know the story because I
Absolutely.
experienced a lot of it, right?
Yeah.
So we go through that phase. You
Yep.
come to Atlanta. It's, you know, I mean, you handle it. You run AUC, right?
Yeah.
What got you from party promoter to music executive? I mean, there's a polarity in between that I could see that transition will happen, right?
Yeah.
But what was that aha moment that, like, I want to do that?
I just kept going forward. It all was an accident. Becoming a promoter, no, I mean, because, you know, you come here, you go to school,
Yeah.
but then you realize, well, school's not really for you. And then you get an
We
offer.
talk about that all the time.
All the time, right?
Yeah.
And then so, you know, I start throwing parties. I'm making $3,000 a week. I'm like, this is in 92-3. Like, you know, I'm not going back to school. I have to pursue this.
Yeah.
And so from that, throwing parties and being one hell of a promoter, someone came to me in the 112 parking lot, was like, we have this artist, Monica, and she has a single, Don't Take It Personal. Can you help us promote it? I was like, I can do more than help you promote it. It's 25 of us, you know what I'm saying? Like, where do you want us? So we're running around town promoting this Don't Take It Personal single, and I happen to be in the 112 parking lot a week later and met the guy who ran the Black Expo. And so I'm like, this, you know, I'm in with Dave Gates and Claude Austin got arrested dead and Dallas Austin. And I went back, I was like, yo, I can get Monica on the Black Expo. They were like, what? Like, if you can get her on the Black Expo, you got a job, like a job. I was like, bet, got her on the tour. Matter of fact, she had actually tried to put the single out like 2 times before that. I was, unbeknownst to me, I just was connecting dots. And so that was my entry. Like, she came back off the tour Gold with Don't Take It Personal. I was feeling myself. And then, you know, a year later she went platinum, and I'm like, yo, I need a check. Like, I blew her up, not thinking about all the work prior to me. I'm just thinking about the Black Expo. Right. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but that was my entree into the music business, bro.
So that's the entry, right?
Yeah.
And entry level is here, landing pad.
Yes.
What made you rock it? What was a rocket? Because and before you answer that question, the other question is this: the whole time while this is happening,
Yeah.
you know, is the dream is real? Is that still the mantra?
The dream is real was day one.
Okay.
The dream is real was like, I got in trouble. I got to leave the trouble and go to another city. I'm in another city trying to figure out my way in this city, and it's elevating. So this is the dream. I'm living the dream. That's what I always tell my mentees too. And you and I talk about this a lot. It's like, you go out here and you don't know. You just don't know. You start out, I want to do X, Y, and Z, and you end up doing something totally different.
Yeah, sure.
But it's the process. It's the process, and you and I, guys like you and I, we enjoy it. Like, you're the voice of Atlanta. You've been the voice of Atlanta for years.
Right.
But it wasn't enough.
Right.
But just what you did, and you were happy with it because it paid the bills. But actually, you had a bigger passion, and you started doing things like Beehive and Decatur FM now. And it's like, and that's what I always tell people. It's like, yes, I was 100% living the dream. You talking about a kid from Washington, D.C., convicted felon at the time, right? And then you're like, you're washing away slowly but surely this stain on your life. You know what I mean? Is that not living the dream?
I mean, it is living the dream, but most people would think, right, when you say dream, and I don't know if this is where we all fall or fail or falter, whatever it is, we look at the dream as something in the future, right?
Yeah.
Like the dream is to be on the beach when I'm 76, blah, 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 right? That's not how you
No, the dream
deal.
is real right now. Real, like I
Today.
can touch it. And that's another thing. It's like, dreams and fantasy are what? They're moments that you create in your mind, right? So fantasy is more something I can do right now. Baby, if you want to have the best time, you and your girls for the birthday, or for you about to jump the broom and you got to see everything you need to see before you marry that man, come see Kenny Burns. He's going to put it in perspective. You know what I'm talking about? He's going to play that playlist of life, and you're going to get your whole life.
He's
right?
He's not lying.
I'm not lying.
No, he's not.
And the thing is, like, I'm learning these things. MJ, like, I'm going through, and it was like hands-on education, but it's nothing like the interaction of people. Right? That's why politicians, really good ones are so good.
Yeah.
Like, Obama was so good with speaking.
Yeah.
I mean, whether he did bad in policy and this, that, and the third.
It is what it is.
When
I
he
agree
spoke,
with you.
right?
Listen, I would say this one thing only. You and I go there with politics.
Oh, we
right?
definitely go there.
No,
all
but
the
this
time.
is good though. One thing about Obama, I will say, was he was definitely a speech giver.
Yeah.
And he was definitely I would call him a marketer to a degree.
100%.
He said some
He'll sell
stuff
you.
his first time around. I mean, I voted for him his first time around. Like, I was just like, I know he can't do that, but I'm going to vote for him because he said it.
Sounds amazing.
It sounds so good, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I will say that. So
And I started honing
Yeah.
those skills. And I think
Yeah.
that, what college and education, what college can't teach you, right? Because this is the point in my life when I'm figuring it out, right?
Yeah.
What college couldn't have taught me was the actual hands-on experience, right? Because nothing in a book, your professor could, right? Theoretically, he could get in front of you and have this sparring session like the many we've had, just with energy, and you take that and you go. But that's not what they do. They try to go through the blueprint they were taught.
Yeah.
They try to add their things onto it. But I'm literally doing it real time, and that's why I always say the dream is real, because it was happening. It was not, because and also too, you got to think, I'm on my own. You know what I'm saying? I'm paying rent. Like these are all things. So, and another thing, and a big shout out to Claude Austin, man. You have to have people along the way that you actually listen to.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us really don't listen to a lot of people. You just hear things, I want it my way, I'm going to do it. But Claude told me something. He said, because I came in the door, I want to do movies. Like when Monica started blowing up, I was on fire spiritually. Like I was like, I'm going to do everything.
Yeah.
I want to be in all of it. Whatever, I want to do it.
Right.
And he said, listen, you can do it all, but you have to master something first. And so that's when I took the craft serious. Okay, what have I done now to gain this popularity? It was promotions. And I was the best promoter. Steve Rifkin, he takes credit for street teams, but I like to say that I created street teams because there was no movement like what we were doing. You got to imagine, this is when Outkast, this is when LaFace Records had Tony Braxton and the Boomerang soundtrack.
Yeah.
Like this was when Atlanta, when So Def and Dallas, Austin, this scene was on fire. And you had the overarching musical pieces, right? But it was guys like me that were on the ground level making it happen. I mean, I was the first person to give Outkast a stage to the colleges, right, at the Funk Clinic. Shanti always called me like, yo, I got this group. They're incredible. And back then, it was like college and Atlanta.
Big difference.
You know what I'm saying?
Huge difference,
And we were the conduit. We were the connectors that brought Atlanta and the colleges together. Of course, they promoted the college, but I'm talking about together.
Yeah.
You can ask any artist that comes from that era to date what Kenny Burns in 2620 meant to that time in Atlanta. So that was my first semester, if you will.
Yeah. I remember. I think up until recently, I think I still had one of those T-shirts that you had.
Oh,
no, either that or the All-Star ones. I can't remember.
I think it was it looked like the Chuck Taylor logo.
Yes. Yeah. What was that one?
2620.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, I still had mine up until recently, and it was just like, it was so old. I think it just started kind of.
No, bro, you
crumbling.
having that's dope.
Yeah.
Like that brings.
No, listen, I will say this. Like, the great part about you is like you always figure out. One thing I like about like the crew that I know, although I don't see a lot of you guys a lot, is you always keep people on their toes with the dreams that you're selling, right? Like it's just because you always go, like, how do you do that,
right?
But some people,
and you can't sell dreams without actually bringing them to fruition. So
correct.
Imagine if I'm just this this great speaker, but nothing ever happens.
Right.
And to your point, I think what you can do, I do what I say.
Right.
If I put it out there to the world, it happens.
Right.
Whether it gives like BRNS, my son want to do a clothing line. I'm teaching him how to be an entrepreneur. As soon as he stops being the entrepreneur and, in the cycle, that's going to stop. But we did it.
Right.
And now you know how it feels. But until he's like, "Wait, Dad, when's the next collection?" I said, "You didn't pack a slip the last one. Your mom's pissed. I'm not getting yelled at for things you're not doing anymore."
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
that's you know, and I think one of the things that's great too is when you speak, like a lot of my friends who do speak, either to me or to whoever they're speaking to, a lot of people might misconstrue the way you speak about yourself and your dreams and everything else as arrogance, but it's not, right? Like, it's just like, so there's this interesting thing that I started doing about a year ago, obviously doing like a whole bunch of yoga and talking about getting real deep into like the ego and what that means and how it can work for you, right? And when I say ego, I don't mean in a bad way.
Yeah.
I think but the great part is it's more confidence, and people need to speak more
confidently
into fruition, right?
Yeah.
The eyes of the world, how powerful that word
100%.
I am is.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm going to do.
Like, or I am not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just, I think one of the things that I admire is the fact that, you know, you kind of keep them guessing. So it's like, wait, how do you end up hanging out with, you know, Vin Diesel? Or how's this happening over here with the movie deal? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So you keep them guessing, but with that guessing, the reason why that guessing is good and can be bad, and we'll talk about the bad part in a minute, the guessing gets your mind to the point where it's like, all right, now I need to put that into motion for myself, right? So it gets the subconscious going, well, how can I?
Right.
Which is always the way to start.
Right.
But there's a dark side of that too. And I know sometimes you talk about that, like as you have built this empire, and I call it mini empires because you and I, you know what I'm saying? We're
not the billionaire
we're not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, you know, as you build these mini empires, you have challenges, right?
Yeah.
And you speak on, sometimes you're very vocal about, like, don't let them see you, blah, blah, blah.
Don't walk to Brooklyn for cheesecake.
Right, or something like that, right? How do you deal with the challenges, though? Because you're a pretty happy person all the time, but I've seen you mad, too, as well, and angry. I mean, Christ, we've gotten to fights before. We've gotten to arguments before, both friendly and not. So, but how do you...
Yeah, I think for me, I've always been spiritually connected, right? And I mean with people. Like if someone was to ask me what my gift is, I would say it's people, right? To the ability to lock in with another energy, right? The real blessing is that I can lock in with 10,000 people at one time and I be the focal. And it was never really about me more so than the time these people were having or the moments that I was creating for these people. And if you think back even to my, coming here, I took every friend that I had that was my bestie and I brought them to Atlanta with me. I took them from Atlanta when I got my first $2 million and went to LA and we had a record label. Didn't know what everybody was going to do, but you're going to be A&R and you're going to be marketing. Not that anyone was qualified, right? But it's the connection and the belief that it could happen. You know what I'm saying? Like you over there.
Figure it out.
Yeah, learn how to work the board.
Yeah.
But I think that's been my saving grace the entire time because when we were younger, everyone was like, oh, man, Kenny thinks he's this. So half of that was because I was light-skinned. And if anybody in the black community is listening, you already know the light-skin and dark-skin war is back.
Is it back right now?
It is kind of.
Are we in right now?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's in, I think, culturally. But I do, at my son's game. No.
I'm talking about jokingly.
No, I know, but I'm serious. But at my son's game last year, where were we at? Pebblebrook. There was these young dudes, and I hope their father's listening, or hopefully they're listening. But this dude went crazy. He was calling, cause my son's playing. At the time, A.J. Montgomery, he's at Kentucky now. He's like, yo, those light-skinned MF. I mean, he's going crazy. And when I say he's like light-skinned, I mean, and I'm sitting there. Like, you know me, first of all. You know, all the street tendencies were coming. And I'm like, yo, I said, little man, relax. I ain't your little man. Oh, you light-skinned too. Do you understand that it took everything in my power? So I said, babe, I'm going to go to the bathroom. But ironically, the next year, his dad brought him up to me at Pebblebrook this year and was like, yo, I just want to apologize for my son. He didn't know who you were. So it's not about who I am. It's more about the energy, and it goes back to our conversation. So I just want to tell you that because I thought you could catch it. But the energy is what has kept me in play. The connection with people is what keeps me in play. And as far as like the keeping people guessing, I don't think people really believe you when you tell them your purpose or your dreams, right? And a lot of times it's purpose. Like, I'm going to do it. But to you, it might seem so lofty, or to the next man, it might seem so lofty. Like, what do you mean? You don't even know. You're not even educated in that. Like, what do you mean you're going to start X, Y, and Z? Well, I'm going to do it. And then when you do it, it's like, wait, how did he do it? Because I said I was going to do it. It's a certain determination and will and spiritual connection that comes with that. And that was my saving grace my entire life.
I always heard that when you tell somebody you're going to do something, and a couple great CEOs have said this, like, if everybody in the room agrees with your idea, change your idea, right? Or change your thought. But if everybody in the room disagrees and thinks you're nuts, that's the trajectory that you need to stay on, because that's the direction that you need to go, right? Because people are really going to doubt you, right? And when you get past that hurdle, it's going to be that wow moment in which, that kind of respect or that connection, whatever it is, comes back. You know what I'm saying? Switching gears for a second, though, one thing I didn't mention too as well, along with all the accolades, you could talk about the clothing line, all the glamour with the artists, the whiskey that you're a part of right now.
Owner.
We could talk about all that stuff. But the one thing that I didn't mention is how great of a dad you are.
Thank you.
Right? With your boys, and a great husband to your wife.
Thank you. 20 years this October.
Which is, congratulations. What's the anniversary date?
October 16th.
Okay, that's my son actually is due that day. Yeah, my son's due that
it's due?
day. Yeah, due that day. So there might be something going on. We're going to have to play the lottery.
Yeah.
So with that being said, what's your relationship like with your boys? What's it been? Where's it at? Where's it going?
Yeah, we all know, any parent knows there's no playbook. You learn on the fly, you learn on the go. And first of all, I have a great partner. And
that was next.
Yeah, I know, but I was just saying in defining of roles, right?
Yeah.
Because early on, I was gone. I was moving. We created a 4-day rule that I had to be gone on the first day, back on the fourth. So I didn't miss many games. You see me.
Yeah,
I don't miss games. I don't, and I think being present is finally at 15 and 18. Kyle's a little bit more in tune as far as like what I do for the family. Kenny's a little more, I need more, it's just.
You got to give me more. Yeah,
I need more, Dad. It's cool. I know you're all out here in the streets and famous and all that, but Kyle's locked in. I think, I'm in love with them more.
Yeah.
I think, you have them as small things, right? They're things. Like, you get them as things, right?
Yeah.
And you just nurture them and you love on them and you pour into them and you see them become their own individuals. And then you have a graduate out of high school. And I'm like, all right, so we're getting ready for college, right? And he's like, no, I want to do a prep year. I'm like, what do you mean you want to do a prep year? Like, I'm in a school.
You want to backpack somewhere? Or
no,
just...
prep year for, he hoops. So he had a bunch of D2 offers and didn't get a mid-level D1 or higher. So he wants that. Okay. And he works hard, so we're going to let him do it. But the one thing I've learned the most in my relationship with my kids, that the communication has to be crystal clear. It has to be crystal clear, because your kids are going to try you. They're going to make up shit. Stuff. They're going to.
Hey, that's allowed for that conversation.
Yeah, they're going to make up stuff. They're going to go through their whole process of what they think is right or wrong. And what you have to keep reminding them is that you've been here before. That you try to teach them the things that you've learned so that they don't have to go through it. And I see the respect there now. Like I said, Kenny's, now that he's going to be 19, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but they're savvier than we are.
And they have more access, and they have, and Google's a blessing, actually, because they can go see their dad for the last 2 decades and what he's been doing, right? And more, even the people I've helped. You know this more than most, right? I've put on hundreds of people in my 20-plus years, contributing to culture. And when social media came, it became in the tens of thousands. And, I don't need credit. And when you know me now, like, when you see my picture back in the day without social media, you be like, oh, he's this, he's out there, he's with the celebrities, and he's light skinned. Jokes. But the thing is, though, it's never really been about me. When I had my first opportunity to do anything big, I brought my whole team. When I got my second thing, it was my whole team. When I got married, it became about them first.
Right.
Do you know I'd be butt naked in a Ferrari somewhere without kids or a wife? Like, I'd be ruining my whole existence. You know what I mean? But you need the things that make you whole.
And a whole bunch of Vaseline.
Yeah, like super
Vaseline
sharp.
up.
Yeah, line up on the beard with But I'm just saying, like, you realize And I was blessed to realize it earlier that that's what's most important. So being a father was all I ever wanted to be, and obviously a husband as well.
We live in a really interesting climate, obviously, today's world, man, especially for our kids.
Yes.
Right? We talk about this. This is another thing we talk about quite a bit. It's just, the fact that they do have access, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you have one that's an adult, one that's on his way to being an adult.
He's
so it's
29 in his mind.
Exactly. But so much, right?
Yeah.
But how do you make sure that their access is to the point where it's not getting beyond them? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
It's
hard.
It's
hard to juggle that.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's hard to juggle that. I think for me.
So how do you help? Yeah. How do you help?
Yeah. So, the first thing you always say, I'm not going to spoil my kids. I'm not going to give them the world. I'm going to make them do what I had to do, or I'm going to make them do some things so they would know it took work to get it. But then it's like, nah, like I don't want you to have to do that. To me, that's demeaning, right? Because what we learned from our parents, it was hard times. You know what I'm saying? They weren't saying do things. They were doing things because they were upset.
Yeah.
Or they were mad. Do this, go wipe up whatever. And then, no, I don't want to get into that, right? What I want to do is, though, I want to show you that it does take hard work to get this. Your hard work is your school.
Yeah.
And your grades.
Yeah.
And whatever you decide to put your passions into. Yeah. All you have to do around the house is X, Y, and Z. You get that done, you have the best life possible. But see, that's way better than the worst situation for us growing up.
Yeah.
And my thing is now, I hold they have enough street in me to have to go really get it from the streets. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
And Kai, now they're in public school because we came back and they're at Wheeler. They've been at Wheeler the last 2 years. East Cobb, Kyle started East Cobb Middle, and now he's at Wheeler, whatever. Kenny went through Wheeler. So it's a whole culture shock. We came, you know what I mean? We were in St. Francis, and then, right?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, this is different. So, but my point is, you got to double down on the things that you've been teaching them, and you continue to double down, because one thing I can guarantee you, if you let up, regardless of how stringent the rules are or how easy they are, they're still rules, and they got to abide by them. Because trust me, if you just said you got to take out the trash once a week and then they think they don't do it, you got to go on them like the world is coming to an end. Take out the mother sucking, you know what I mean? Like, get the trash, stop, like, whatever it is. And you have to do that because they have to have a sense of responsibility and respect for the things that they're blessed with. Right. And, I think we've come to a common ground on what's expected in the household, because I get nothing but rave reviews. They can be all the a-holes they want in the house, but when they leave that house, they're upstanding citizens. They're walking the girl that needs the insulin to the front office.
Hey, no, I'm with you. Yeah. I'm absolutely with you, and that's great. And obviously, you and Jessica have a very, very strong relationship when it comes to raising these boys. As far as
she's God's greatest gift.
Here's how it's going to happen. Collectively as parents, right? Yep. Outside of that, though. How are things with the boys in their business? We were talking about it earlier.
Yeah, so Kyle wanted to start a clothing line. Yeah. Kyle's like his daddy. He wants to try everything, and I'm trying to tell him, like, focus on, you have basketball, like that's, and I need that for them because that's very, what is the word I'm looking for? It's very structured. Right. They have practice 4 or 5 times a week. They work out on their own. Like, it's a thing I need them to have because the alternatives, right? Go hang out and get in trouble, right? Yeah. But Kyle wanted to be a rapper, so you get good grades, I'll put you in the studio. This is before the clothing line. And then the friends he was hanging out with, they were into it, but they had a little too much freedom and not as much freedom as I wanted to give Kyle. Yeah. And when you have your daddy, mommy, spidey senses, pull the cards ASAP because it's 2 seconds away from being your child too. Trust me. Right. But that, and then he wanted to do clothing. He was like, Dad, you had success in clothing. You're fly. I'm fly. Like, mommy's fly. Okay, let's do a line like for the family. We literally came up with our family crest, which is our Burns logo, and we shot our shot, and it was amazing. And we've done great. Last thing we did was in Saks Fifth Avenue for Super Bowl. Sold out. But he's also thinking, okay, I need some money so I can go shopping. No, we got to put money back into the business so we can grow the business. And it will sit there until you get serious about the business. And that's another learning tool as well, which you'll, understand later.
We think, I find that equivalent to, like, if you went back in the day for us, right, starting a business or a parent starting a business is
Right.
equivalent to like the lemonade stand or whatever, right?
That's all it was.
I mean, but no, like actually that is either that or sugar
That's
water.
all they were funding.
Sugar water.
That's all
right?
they had to fund.
Right.
How about that?
But think about it though. When you put it in perspective though, you are coming off of this like wave of all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Music, the fashion
Spirits,
stuff, the
yeah.
spirits, the movie, and then you kind of like stop, like I'm gonna start a business with my son.
Yeah, man.
Like straight up, it's equivalent to the lemonade stand, but bigger, better.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
$43,000 on the first
It's more
one.
so like today, right? Like nobody's starting a lemonade stand
Yeah.
anymore, which I think we should for smaller kids. I think
I've been seeing them though. Ironically, you say that.
the lemonade stands.
I've been seeing them.
We need to bring them back more,
Yeah.
man. I mean, we need to teach our kids a lot of stuff that you and I learned not from school.
Yeah.
We need to start teaching them stuff like that, the business
100%.
stuff,
Hand to hand.
and what have you. And I always wondered that, get your opinion on that. Like as you go into this venture with your boy, you're going into it, but it's really his.
Right.
You ever wonder that? Like, why don't they ever teach us about like money in school? And
They don't, bro.
I wonder why.
It's sad because all it takes is information. If our
Yeah.
children were equipped with the information early,
Yeah.
the beauty of the internet is that though.
Yeah.
Now, ironically, they go and look at everything up. But if they have a
Yeah.
question,
Yeah.
they're Googling.
Yeah.
They're going to find, they need answers.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about the generation. The thing I hate about it is that it kind of deters them from the original question. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
they get so sidetracked.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a tragedy that they don't do that. And I think that even to your point, us as parents, we have to show them. That's why with BRNS, like I spent a bag. The first collection, you remember, we had cut and sew, we had sweatpants, jean jackets we made in the Blue Ridge, everything made here in Atlanta or Georgia. And, we spent way too much money, but we wanted to show him like, no, this is how big it could be. You know what I mean? And we wish we had that. I mean, peanut butter and jelly sandwich and lemonade stand. Like we wish we could have.
Sugar water, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Water
but
with
to
sugar.
show him real business. And look, we did. I never forget. We Motor 404, which is a store here in Buckhead. Big shout out to Quasi. We went used his store, set up the whole backdrop. We took the Duke Blue Devils
Yeah.
dude, and we put BRNS on the. So it was beautiful, and we showed him like how, and his friends came and they all worked the cash register and did the thing, and that's what you want, man. And all people can't. I mean, a lot of people can't just go do that, but he saw how we had to make the money back. Although we had an incredible weekend, we still didn't make all the money back. And then when we went online, we finally took us 3 weeks to make all the money back, but we cut even and there wasn't any extra. He wants to go to Gucci and buy a headband. And I'm like, nah, there's no Gucci headbands. You cut that shirt up and put the BRNS on your head.
All right.
Like, what do you?
Yeah, call it a day.
Yeah, so-
Wholesale. No.
But you got to teach them, and because Kyle saw that, because Kenny saw that, because even my sister came down and helped, they'll be better for it because they know that you can come up with something in your mind, a dream, a fantasy, and you can make it happen. You just have to put forth the effort.
So you think when I'm not gonna call the bad things that are happening nightmares. Oh, you can.
Yeah.
You think when it doesn't happen the way you plan it out, that's also your fault?
I think it's lessons, right?
Right.
I don't think I lose. I don't look at it like I'm losing. I look at it like lessons. People were like, when I came back, I went to launch Revolt Television with
No,
Pop.
actually, hold on a second. Before you go on with, I'm not talking about like that because you actually, although you lose, I'm not talking about losing from a standpoint of you actually execute and it doesn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about the people that are sitting on the couch, right? That are constantly criticizing.
Uh-huh.
All right, why you,
Right.
right? And then they wonder why they're not rocketing or
Right.
excelling.
Right.
Is that also part of something that they're in control? Are they in control of that dream or that reality?
Yeah, I mean, we're all the sideline couch squatters that sit there and on the keyboards and talk about people or just have negative things to say. If they thought about the time they're putting into that and the energy they're putting into being negative and get out there and go try,
Right.
right? And I think that's half the battle, MJ. People don't try. Like they look at you and they're like, wait, I have Gucci jackets and whatever, and I dress fly, or and I'm not as magnetic.
Mm-hmm.
As him, or I don't connect with him. Well, that's my superpower,
Yeah.
right? You have a superpower. You haven't dialed into your superpower. And forgive the Gucci thing. I'm just saying, as people think that they can go to the store, buy a whole outfit, come, and they're just going to do.
I understand what you're saying.
And be this. It's like, no, like it has rapport. It has rapport. It has like actual relationships, decades of relationships. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I said, if you know this for a fact, if someone comes to a Kenny Burns event, they're going to leave inspired. They're going to leave feeling like, whether I'm speaking, I just came from St. Petersburg. They were so amazed at the way I was. They were like, "You are the realest person," because you know me. When I can curse, I have certain things I use for inflection, and they're like, "Whoa!" Yeah. And like, why are you even? We didn't even know that. Why are you sharing it? Because I feel like I am the example of what you're talking about right now. I have tried a bunch of things that didn't work, but the things I tried that did work are paying for
dividends of.
You hear me?
Mass proportion
for my entire family. Like the Uncle Nearest situation. You know this very well. I started the influencer programs that all spirit companies use. Every last one. I don't get a check from every company. I don't get a check from all the ambassadors that came after me. But then we were talking about Heineken Red Star Soul Tour that I created to Grey Goose.
So long ago.
So long ago, right? So Grey Goose. You remember when the Versace Mansion, Image USA spent $175,000 on a non-celebrity's birthday.
Yeah, that was a great. He did his birthday at the
Versace Mansion.
Versace Mansion in Miami. I show up and it's like this. There's like dancers with feathers,
gold people,
like gold
statues.
People. And then you stay long enough, he jumps in the Versace pool, and it's like, what's going on?
Drawers.
It's like it is his underwear.
Yeah.
It's
so,
like,
but you think like even that more?
I'm not making this up
at all. And we did a coffee table book. We have proof. Because back then it wasn't social media.
Oh, and I will say this too: the invitation was a bobble. Was that the bobblehead?
I gotta bring one for you. I think Jessica found like 3. But my point is, like, you go through this whole thing with the spirits companies, right? Yeah. You know what I gave to that industry. You know how much money I shared with my friends? I mean, Alex was of the world famous Compound, benefited a couple million.
Don't sound like R. Kelly. I gave you 30 years of my life.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No R. Kelly. But my point is, and then, I go launch De Leon Tequila and Apples of Rock, and, I don't get anything. And then I leave and a complete stranger. I met this guy playing golf one time. Mm-hmm. I'm doing this raise for this new spirit called Uncle Nearest. I think he'd be a great ambassador. I was like, I could be the best ambassador you want me to be, but I'm going to need a piece. He's like, well, I don't make those decisions. You got to go meet Fawn Weaver. And Fawn Weaver, best-selling actress, black woman, amazing. I met her, and it was over. I'm talking about, and but that's life. And that's what the person on the couch needs to realize. While you're over there worrying about what everybody else is doing, you could be trying some things. And those things will eventually get you to where you're supposed to be. And I want to say this. Mm-hmm. You have to enjoy your journey. You have to find a way to enjoy your journey. There's a lot of people out here working 9 to 5s, don't want to work 9 to 5s. But guess what? You got to hold into that 9 to 5 so you can pay your bills, so you can be creative and make some money. But the things you try on the side will eventually match your passion if you are diligent enough. But I do want to say this. Everything is not for everybody. And just because your friend is a social media star and a chef doesn't mean that you can go be a social media star doing whatever it is you love to do. You really have to lock into the nuances of your superpowers and be okay with that, because everybody's not meant to be a billionaire. I mean, when I watched the Black Godfather, the Clarence Avon Netflix doc,
Mm-hmm.
I saw me. I called one of my mentors that I'm not going to say his name, but he was just talking about all things he didn't do. I'm like, wait, hold on. Right. You're responsible for the New Jack Swing sound. That was the soundtrack of my life. What do you mean? You taught me how to dress. Watching Guy and all. And so my point is how do you perceive it? I'm looking at Clarence Avon. I mean, he's dignitaries, athletes. I mean, but this was at a pivotal time in race relations, in history itself, when black people turned the corner and there was no internet and there was no connector and or plug or people that could put people together, and he became the person. There will never be another time like that. Right. So how can you even put yourself that weight on your shoulders? Yeah. I look at it like, oh wow, I put Jay-Z up, Puff up. I start naming him. I'm like, I'm proud and I'm happy. Right. That's me. I am the new Black Godfather, right? Right. But that's how people have to look at it, and you can't always look at it like you can't put that lens of what's not happening for me versus what you have accomplished for yourself. Because it's all about being whole in here. It's not about fulfilling anything for your parents, your friends, your significant others. You have to be whole here before you can be whole with anything else. And, it's just a journey will teach you that. Age will teach you that.
Yeah,
but if you could grasp that early, you're better off.
It's hard, though, because, I will say this, and this is kind of going back to the whole, like, yoga practice. One of the things that one of my instructors, she talks about, man, she's banana. I call her the king cobra because I think she's got it all figured out when it comes to your bodies and stuff like that, right? But she says, and I feel the same way when it comes to what you're saying. She says that our bodies are these amazing pieces of machinery, and we were never really given instructions on how to use them or what their capacity is, right? And I think that I could translate that to the person that's sitting on a couch or the person that doesn't know where to start. I think they look to people like you, me, whoever, that's doing something or having forward movement and going, yeah, I want to do that.
Right.
But once again, I don't come with the instructions to know how to start. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
And sometimes trying, right, is like, all right, I'll try it, and then you fall, and it's like, told you I shouldn't try. You know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of like a negative thing. So I wonder, how do you get people out of that and out of that mindset? Because I feel like when you really think about it, our whole you talk about the culture and what's right for the culture, right? I feel like our whole culture needs that right now.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? In this world that we live in, and we look at, people of color, I think that we need to kind of get that into play to say, like, listen, man, you got to get out there and you got to actually do. And I know that none of us got it figured out.
None of us, bro. But you know what, though?
But how do we
MJ,
spark that?
I think it starts with cutting off everything around you that is not in support of your dreams.
Yeah.
I think I remember having a conversation with my aunt at 16 years old. Your mother's a crackhead. Your mother ain't this. Your mother ain't that. She owe me money. No, it's fine.
The way
It's
you're
fine.
saying
This
it.
is true.
I'm laughing at the way you're saying it.
No, but she did say this. And I told her at 16, I was like, listen, I love you. If you keep calling my mama a crackhead, I cannot mess with you like that.
Right.
And that's going to be the end of our day. I haven't had a problem with her in 30, I'm sorry, how old am I? 30 years.
That much,
right?
yeah.
So my point is, get the negative pieces, because it's something holding you back. It's not just you.
Yeah.
You can play devil's advocate in your head all day long, which you need to do.
Yeah.
But you can't have the naysayers in the back. Oh, no, you can't. No, you can't. Why would you do that? You going to go out there and do, girl, you know what it took to, she had to sleep with him to get that. And da-da-da. My point is, if you have that, you need to cut that off. That's first and foremost.
Yeah.
And then I think for real passionate creatives, you have to be willing to risk the idea. Mm-hmm. If you're a real creative, if you are talented, you have a skill set that you feel is unmatched, you don't have to worry about trying something else and figuring something else or creating something else. You know this. I've given, how many ideas have I given away to make a way?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And then the last piece is sometimes you have to leave everything you know to get where you're going. Like, you cannot be surrounded by the comfort zone of non-success.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That hug, that extra hug is not what you need. You need to get pushed on your face.
Punched in the chest.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's real out here, man. And I think people get so caught up in the idea of what they're supposed to have. You know, me and you talk about this too. What you want and what you need are two different things.
Yes. Yeah.
Two different things. You can want everything in the world, but yet what do? Never let your expectations exceed your effort. You want all this grandiose stuff.
She ain't working hard.
You're on the couch.
Yeah. Not working hard.
Talking, you know what I'm saying, shiznit about everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just think it's a cycle that you can only break. We talk about culture and breaking it for culture. It's information. And as long as people like you are doing Decatur FM, as long as people are taking the opportunity to have opinions that are bigger than self-absorbed, selfish, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Innuendo, or like direct message for purpose only, then, you know, but if you can continue to find things like this and people like you and people like me and people that really just want to get it out there for you to digest. We're not telling you what to do. We're just giving you our experience. But you can't say you didn't get some isms. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? In between the lines. You got some, I could take, never let my expectations exceed my effort. Leave everywhere, everything I know and get where I'm going. These are all things. If you tattoo that on your forehead, don't do that.
Be a bad idea.
Yeah, but if you put it on a piece of paper somewhere where you looked at, that would change your mindset.
Yeah.
That would change your mindset.
It's part of the mantra.
Absolutely, the dream is real.
It's that's the same thing, and that was the main reason, like to
look
get
at my chest, Mike.
He got it.
Thug life.
He's committed. That mantra had to be seen.
It had to.
Hey, you got it right though.
Yeah.
No, not the tattoo. Stomach's looking right.
It's coming.
You've been working on it.
I'm not a six-pack shawty like Mike Johnson.
What's your workout looking like these days?
Mr. Shut Up and Train over at Heat, man. You know, he's been actually. You remember when I started?
Yeah.
Right before my 30. No, right before my 30. During my 39th birthday. Right before it, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to my 40.
Right.
40's not in shape. So we try to do 3 days a week. You know, eating better. I still.
What's your diet right now?
You know, man. You know me. I eat the same things. You can catch me at Houston's. You can catch me at LaFonda. You can catch me at Kill Me Crazy. You can. I mean, it varies. I eat tuna fish and more turkey, chicken than I do.
You eat meat though?
Once a month.
Every now.
Yeah,
every
I gotta
now
have
and
a Five Guys burger every once in a while. House steak. It depends, but I don't do multiples.
I'd like 3 Five Guys burgers at this point.
Oh my God,
I love. They're so good.
I just had it for Father's Day. Where you want to go for Father's Day? Five Guys.
They're so good.
Yeah.
And I could do with it. Do you like their fries?
I love their fries.
I don't know. I'm not. I'm not sold.
Their fries. I love their fries. They're not my favorite, but I love the combination of when I'm there.
I have this thing where I can't go and order a full burger because they got double patties, right?
Yes.
So I have to order the little burgers. So
Yeah,
my wife's
same.
like, why are you ordering? So when I go there, I order 2 little burgers.
Yeah.
She's like, why don't you just order 1 with 2 patties?
Yeah.
I try to explain to her because if I order 1 with 2 patties, that means I actually physically have a problem
Right.
with ordering food that much.
That's a lot
So I'll
of
order
meat.
2. And it feels better about myself. It's 2 patties, but I separate them, so
Yeah.
I don't feel as bad.
And they're not huge.
G's
Pause.
laughing.
Yeah.
G's laughing. He's like, "What are you talking
Yeah,
about?"
they're not that big.
I
though.
just, I mean, that's how I justify it to
Yeah.
myself. But I love Five Guys. It's dope.
love Five
I
Guys.
want to.
I'm allergic to everything too, though. By the way, I don't know what's happening in my 40s, but
Yeah.
it's not fair.
Well,
It's like things you're like, wait, hold on.
with like allergies and stuff.
I mean, it's just like it's a funny story. I call, now you can get your results online. So physical every year. I'm getting my results.
Is it somebody call? No, I don't want to answer that. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna take it.
Somebody's calling in for the show?
No.
Oh Lord!
I'm trying to
Stop it. We're doing a show.
Yeah, see ya. Oh, let's just get rid of them. All right.
Right.
All right.
But
Yes,
I called the doctor to I need to, because I felt like allergic or some reaction. She said, Kenny, you're allergic to everything. I said, how do you tell someone
Right.
they're allergic? I'm like, you're not even qualified. Why are you telling me?
Go away.
Can you put my doctor on the phone? Like, why would you tell me I'm allergic to everything? What do you mean? She's like, bananas, like everything I love.
Yeah, you have to get rid of.
I say, oh, you got to get off the phone. Like, I'm suing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even understand
Yeah.
why you're working there. Like, you just got fired.
But you feel good though.
No, I feel amazing.
You
I
know,
feel amazing.
I mean, you're busting out 20 pull-ups.
Yeah, no, yeah. And I don't do the protein and stuff. Or if I did protein, I'd be
swollen out.
Yeah, I just try to eat my protein.
I was going to ask you a question. One thing that you always used to do, and I don't know if you still do it, because I'm trying to be not as on social as much.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Do it for work, but that's about it.
Yeah.
You used to write on every, and this was when Twitter was more like a thing.
Yeah.
You used to write at the beginning of in the morning too, especially, like, "Hey, young world."
Yes.
Explain. Why would you start off like that?
Because
do you still do that?
Because I do it occasionally. I don't do it as much.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, the platform is now Instagram, so
Yeah.
I'm focused on all the brand partnerships and things that I'm
Right.
working on. But Hey Young World for about 10 years, just because, I wanted the world to know that it was possible. You know what I mean? And it kind of led them to my mantra. And I have sons, man. I have godchildren and nieces and nephews, and I just want them to know the world is yours. Don't
But
don't
it comes
wake
from
up,
it comes from the Slick Rick, right?
Yeah. Don't ever. And ironically, the next collection is called Hey Young World. So
Okay.
crazy.
But the crazy part is
Crazy
you
said
never finished the statement. Is it because we all knew?
No, because this generation knows nothing about Slick Rick.
No. What I'm
just-
saying is the line. No. I'm talking about when you would write it. Like
Right.
every morning you woke up, you'd
Hey
say
Young
your
World, the
whatever,
world is yours.
right? But you would just really just say, "Hey, young world," and then you'd go on to say what you had to say. Like you would never put the world is yours.
No,
after.
no. The world is always.
Really?
Always.
Because I always remember saying "Hey Young World."
Yeah, that was some post, but no, on Twitter, it would be "Hey Young World, the world is yours."
Okay.
That,
So the
very
meaning,
directional.
and obviously the meaning for that to you at the time was to spread that, or for yourself? Was
No,
that
for them.
okay?
Yo, it's never really been about me. Like I really feel like I'm a vessel. I really feel like I was sent here to be a part of whatever it is I'm a part of, and speak the isms and the positivity. I mean, you know me, man. How many times you seen me mad in 20 years?
Not a lot.
I don't get, like, that's not my personality.
No, it takes a lot.
Yeah, it takes a lot, right? And then when you see me dealing with people, how am I with people?
Friendly, very loving, very
encouraging.
My family's doing this, but
And that's all I wanted. That's what I intended with Hey Young World, the world is yours. Like, you can have it and everything in it.
So we're giving our kids these messages. We're showing them love, right?
Showing them the way.
Showing them the way. What I'm trying to figure out too as well is we live, mental health is a big problem too.
Yes.
Right? With our kids.
Yes.
Like I understand it with adults, with our age, and even that I don't understand, but you would get that more because, you go through things in life and stresses and years and years and years of, compounded whatever.
For sure.
Kids though, taking their own lives, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think? Like what do you think your words, opinions, what do you think is behind the rave of
The
this
curse
right
of social media. That is the curse of social media. The pressure of feeling liked is literally a function. Now, not just you're hoping this person likes me, you're hoping this person accepts me, but you have a whole thing that ridicules, the most minute things and makes them the biggest things. So you can imagine the pressures they already have, right? So give you a scenario. Young man and woman, young man in high school finally gets some. He's in love. You know what I mean? Like, it's his first, she's in love, they're in love. But one is more clingy than the other because of whatever reason. They feel that they don't, they need some space because it's just too much going on.
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean space? Like, this I've given you, this is what I want to do, so forth and so on. And then the perpetuation, but not just is your friends anymore. You know what I'm saying? The amplification is not just your friends anymore, your girlfriend. No, girl, don't do that. It's Instagram. Well, you were with such and such, and da-da-da-da-da. And then you got the pressures because every girl on Instagram's got a bikini on with a thong in her butt. You know what I'm talking? And so it just escalates and amplifies. So I can imagine the pressure that a young woman feels, even young guys. Like, think about pressure. Like, let's use basketball. Kenny and Kyle play back. Have you ever seen this much workouts, this many AAU teams? Have you ever seen? So what is the pressure? Like, you think you could play, and then you go meet a dude that's 14 and 7 foot. That could, I mean, legit. Am I lying? Like that. You feel like you want to jump off a bridge. You're like, I will never be 7 foot. I'm good, but I'll never be 7 foot. Right. But you get what I'm saying? Yeah. So I just think that, common pressures, right? Common pressures are all pressures we felt as children. I mean, you like the girl, she doesn't like you. You like the guy, he doesn't like you. Or your teacher is picking on you because, whatever you might feel, now it's amplified. Now, with the push of a button, the Snapchat thing is the devil. I mean, these kids, Kyle came home one time, I saw a fight, I thought it was gangland. Like, I thought, and we in East Cobb. I'm like, wait, what are they doing? This is a hallway. You got 25 kids involved, and I'm like, what? So my point is, like, they have these small problems that are really small, but they get amplified because of social media and all of the immediacy that brings. And I think that's the biggest problem. Now, clearly, some people are crazy.
No, I get that.
Right?
I mean,
some people have real
psychological issues. I get.
Yes.
But there are times where you see some of these kids, and even, no pun intended, you go back to their social profiles, and you look at their life, man, and it looks like it's grand. And then they take their life, and you're like, yo, like.
Yeah, like.
But then you go back to what you said, like, everything has to be picture perfect. And,
everything.
I remember I saw
such a facade.
I saw one kid talk about the fact that she has to take roughly about 30 to 80 pictures before she can get the right photo to put on her Instagram page. She can't decide.
What they do that at? Like, and why?
And then somebody, who was it? Simon Sinek said it. Like, Facebook, Instagram, and all these platforms, It's the only place where you basically take a picture and you put a filter on your life. So you put a photo filter on,
and you
right?
smudge out the impurities and the imperfect. Like, well, that's not real life.
Yeah.
And then what they did, so Instagram, Facebook, everything sucks you in. You know what's happening now, right? They sucked you in. They got you. People are millionaires because of social media. But now the algorithm is now, you gotta promote this picture, and they'll lessen the likes, they'll lessen the attention. They won't let your the immediacy of your post be seen right away.
Do you think that's censorship?
It is censorship for profit.
No.
And you think about it, right? We done made all these millionaires. They got to pay. Kenny Burns has a couple 100,000 followers. If I see anything that looks like a flyer, or if I see anything that's promo or Coca-Cola or Uncle Nearest, I'm putting promote. Have you ever noticed that the things you talk about, or
you'll
pull from,
you'll see it in like 10 minutes.
You'll see it in your feed.
Yeah.
But my followers can't see what I just posted for 3 days.
Yeah. There's been a big conversation on how these platforms are very, very much into determining who sees what. It's like it's like mice in a maze, right? So they'll close this door, make you go left.
Right.
Close that door, make you go right. This is where we want you to end up. You know what I mean? So that's something that I actually, how do we fix it? Who knows? But it's just in the effort of trying to build a better community and build this puzzle to answer that question. Like, I always ask people that, you know what I mean? Like, as you see these things, like, what's your piece of the puzzle that you would put right here that would make everything really solid for our kids, community, all that stuff?
Well, I want to help you not sleep that good tonight, and I mean that in the best way. I'm a conspiracy theorist. You and I have.
You know what the funny part about? So I was about to ask you, one of the things I was going to ask him before he left was like, what? Because we're running out of time. But I was going to ask you, like, what's your zeitgeist right now?
Yeah, it's social, bro. We've had hundreds of conversations, and I promise you, not only the social media and iPhone, Apple rather, not only do they create a device that has every bit of your information. I'm talking about damn near DNA. It wouldn't surprise me if that touching this phone, that they know your blood type. I'm serious. I am facial recognition, fingerprints. What are they doing with the information, MJ? So let's talk about it. Two seconds.
I agree with you.
Right? So then, but you think about, like, even back to the algorithms. You sucked us for you could go from every borough, city, whatever in the world, and tell corporations who thinks of what time they wake up, what they eat, who they talk. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? Apple is going to take over the world and become the government is what's going to happen.
Well, Apple, Amazon, and Google. Yeah,
but it's going to be a fight. It's going to be a cyber war like Terminator between Amazon and Apple. I'm dead serious.
No. Listen, and if we're going to go down that rabbit hole, I'll go down with you. Listen, between the iPhone, like, we just got off of social and we're talking about the actual devices now. Like, I think that these devices are making us subhuman. Seriously. Think about it like this.
This is a whole nother show.
It is. But let me ask you this legit question. Believe me, I will not get offended by it at all.
Right.
Do you know my phone number?
I do not know it by heart.
See, you know where I'm at in your phone book, but you don't know my phone number.
Crazy.
Right? Subhuman. G, what were you telling me the other day? G was like, listen, man, like, I'm literally like a little bit more dependent on, like, spelling on the phone these days, right? Like,
spell check. You're an idiot.
Like, you look at it like
making you an idiot.
You look at it like, is that the way? Like, G and I was, is that the way you spell water? Like, I know it's WTE, but I'm not quite sure, right?
Yeah.
And then think about, like, as I wear one, but you have these units that can tell you your heart rate. Like, we're becoming so dependent on it.
Bro.
But there's a reason for it. When was the last time you really, like, how often do you handle, like, currency and cash these days?
Right. I have to touch cash. You know what? And I want to say this to all.
But I'm just saying.
100%. I want to say this to all creatives, though. I really do.
Yeah.
You don't own the stuff you put on Instagram
and YouTube and Facebook.
Any of them.
Yeah.
And so my point is, you have to create things like, that's why I always, anytime you come to me, you say, hey, I'm doing such, I'm like, I love it.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
Yeah.
Come and you play me and you call me like, what do you think? And I'm like, but you got to do that.
Yeah.
Like I just got the dude I told you, KennyBurns.com. It took me 25 years. Went from 50,000. I finally got for 1,200. But I'm using. You're not gonna play me.
Hold on a
We're
second,
gonna create 800 other.
Let me tell
sites.
this story real quick. I have to tell the story. So he calls me last week. And he goes, MJ, what's up?
I snorted.
He goes, MJ. I said, what's up? He goes, I finally got KennyBurns.com, right? I said, okay. He goes, it took me 20 something years to get this. I've been trying to get this forever. So I said, cool. So the first thing that I actually asked was, how much he hit you for, right? Because I knew, right? If he's been waiting that long, he paid some money. He goes, well, 25 years ago, it started off at $50,000.
Yeah.
He goes, 20 years later, we closed it off at $1,200.
Absolutely, that's gangster.
We were like, well, he needed the money.
No, God bless him.
That was
You know he's
hilarious.
getting married. Probably that's what happened.
That's probably
Finally,
you need to hit that ring real quick,
Yeah.
right? Real quick before we go, man.
Yes,
let's
sir.
talk about. So we got Uncle Nearest.
Yes, Uncle Nearest Premium Whiskey.
You're involved with that, right?
Yes,
Now,
I
your
am.
own. You have some ownership in that.
Yes, I have equity.
So you have principal in that.
Yep.
What's going on with it? What are you doing with it?
I love that you asked that. We just came back from our distillery yesterday. Jessica and I went to check on it. She actually never been, so it was great to take her to see what our investment looks like. But full distillery coming. We have, if you know anything about Tennessee and Kentucky, it's bourbon and horses.
I know the song Tennessee Whiskey.
Or whiskey and horses, right? So we have prize horses on our property.
Nice.
It's amazing. And we are the fastest growing spirit whiskey in the game, and it has the best story. If you don't know about it, Uncle Nearest was the slave that was the first master distiller honored by Jack Daniels actually last year because of our work. He was also obviously the guy that taught him how to do and make whiskey. So that we have that going. We have the movie with young Will Packer, which I just want to say this because people have been asking me. Kevin Hart and Will Smith just came out with the remake of Uptown Saturday Night. Uptown Saturday Night and our script is the exact same movie. Yeah. So there might be some issues with that, but stay tuned. Big shout out to Will Packer.
I think they should. I think Kevin Hart and Will Smith need to sit down for a bit anyway.
Yeah, or Kevin just needs to come and do our movie. Because
Yeah.
I don't even.
Will
I don't even want to. I'm
not
upset
doing
about
Disney
that.
movies, but anyway.
Yeah, I'm upset about that. But that's a whole other show. So we have movies and television. I actually have 2 shows that I'm creating now that I'm executive producing. We have a book called What Matters Most. I do have a book now that you can get on Amazon.
And then your podcast.
Yeah, the Ball Alert podcast. Ball Alert is going amazing. So we have our hands in a bunch of stuff, man. It's just a great time for me as an investor and putting my hands on things that I really want to be a part of. So super blessed.
So many stories, man. Not enough time to tell it in an hour, and we definitely got to have you back.
Yes.
Loaded question I have for you before everybody leaves to answer this one question, and that question is, and you could relate to this for sure. Just because our paths cross and intertwine so much, I always ask, how do you create better community, right?
Yes.
How do you become better, badder, fitter, stronger?
Yep.
We're closer to 50 than we are to 20.
Oof.
So as we get closer to that, we're still trying to be at the top of our
100%.
game, right? I mean, you're doing the pull-ups. We have some friends.
Marathons.
Yeah, I just went with our buddy of ours, Justin Epstein, and Jesse. We just ran 15 miles a couple days ago.
Oh, dog. I got to see Justin. I haven't even seen the baby.
I mean, it's just a whole bunch of stuff going on. So we always try to be better, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do we do that community-wise? We're in such a place where there's tension, there's disagreements. You and I could disagree, but we still... I mean, there's no, you know what I mean?
Friends forever, sure.
Politically, we are on opposite side of the fence, but still, we have an agreement. How do people get that? And how do we do that and become wickedly strong?
Yeah, one word, man. 2 words. Be thoughtful. I think that if you were thoughtful about the things you said and didn't lead with such emotion and, just angst. I mean, if you were thoughtful, you wouldn't say those things. You would deliver in a way that it was able to be digested, received, and then regurgitated back to you or someone else. I think that, in business, if you were more thoughtful in your planning and really dug into what it is you're doing and how can it make money, you'd be more successful in your efforts. In relationships, if you're more thoughtful and, really took in consideration how your partner was feeling and took time to really learn why, right? Because sometimes we don't want to hear it. I ain't with it. you go that way, I'm going to go, but if you were more thoughtful, you'd be like, no, that's not it. Like Jessica and I, we don't go to sleep mad. We talk it out, get it all the way out before we go to sleep, because once you go to sleep, it's festering. Once you stop talking about it, it's festering. Now, you might need a moment to step back and clear your head so you don't be, say the wrong thing, and I suggest you do that. But at the same time, the one word, man, would be thoughtful, man. If we were more thoughtful, we could have better community.
So that's a great piece to add to the puzzle, being thoughtful.
100%.
Finding you on everything is at Kenny Burns.
At Kenny Burns. And KennyBurns.com soon.
It's coming soon. I was just about to say, the acquisition just happened last week, so don't go there just yet. It's still under construction. So appreciate you stopping by, man.
All love, brother.
Looking forward to the movies, drinking more responsibly.
More life.
Drinking more life, but I'm talking about the Uncle Ernest. Drinking more responsibly. Nearest.
He said Ernest.
Did I say Ernest? Nearest.
No, everybody does it. Everybody does it.
Nearest.
Everybody does it.
So, but drinking more responsibly on that, and then obviously with the boys, they're lying. I mean, lots of great things to come. So
absolutely.
All right. So appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for listening to Decatur FM, everybody. We look forward to it. I look forward to seeing everybody at the Decatur Beach Party on Friday. It's gonna be pretty wicked. Oh, by the way, I gotta give big shouts out to my buddy Brent and Kyle Pease. They got the new book out, Beyond the Finish.
Nice.
I don't know if you know these guys. I am on the same race team as these guys.
That's dope.
And Kyle was born with cerebral palsy.
I definitely have seen that.
He's a triathlete.
That's dope.
Done Kona a couple times. They're pretty wicked. So congratulations on that. But guys, until next time, we'll talk to you on Meet Your Neighbor. Everybody enjoy the weekend and enjoy Decatur FM. Don't forget, coming up next, we have Kelly Cornett. She's got the Wine Down Wednesday radio show, and she's got some really cool wine adventures to talk to you about. So I will talk to you 9 p.m. Meet Your Neighbor. Thanks for listening to Decatur FM. See you. Bye.
Every Tuesday at 10 a.m. and every Sunday at 8 p.m., Decatur FM presents some Southern charm with Jewish humor.
It's supposed to melt away fat. I'm not saying I'm fat. I'm just saying I'm lazy and I don't want and I've got baby weight.
Baby weight. Your babies are 10.
9. Yeah. 9. It's like one of those things you would see on a cruise ship and pay hundreds of dollars for.
How much?
The great station. This is Decatur FM.
It's time now for the Wind Down Wednesday radio show with your host, Kelly Cornett, from A Cork in the Road, right here on Decatur FM.
Welcome to another episode of Live with A Cork in the Road, and I'm Kelly, and I'm exploring the Southeast wine industry and interviewing the people who are really making it a place to drink wine. And today, I'm so lucky. I'm welcomed into the home of the owners of Yona Mountain Vineyards. This is Bob and Jane Miller, and we are just having a wonderful Saturday. This is wonderful. Thank you for welcoming us here to your beautiful place. And I just wanted to know, where did this idea to start a vineyard come from? What were you doing before you planted the vines and opened this winery here in North Georgia?
Well, thank you, Kelly. Thanks for coming in and sharing with us. It's sort of a bad story. Depends on how you tell the story. I was retired in Fort Lauderdale, enjoying life, and we had the beach life, and we were doing Pilates, and I retired early from my previous career of financial services. And then Jane, my wife, says, "You're not happy. You need to be doing something different. You got to go out and do." I said, "What do you mean I'm not happy? I'm really happy here on the beach." She said, No, we need to do something. She said, "I always wanted a farm. Let's go buy a farm." I said, "A farm? You want a farm? We have enough money to be retired. You want to get a farm?" This is a true story. She goes out and buys a pair of boots and a Jeep. She said, "We got a Jeep. Now we got to get a farm." So I said, "Well, okay." So we started looking for farms, and we found this property, which was not even on the market, this 200 acres, the most beautiful farm we ever saw. Jane fell in love with the property. She felt like a spirit had come over her that this land should be ours. So we bought the land. 200 acres is a lot of land. We didn't really know how much that was. I fenced the whole thing in. It's 3.5 miles of fence.
3.5 miles?
3.5 miles of fence.
Our neighbors weren't very happy.
No, we fenced out everybody. It was sitting here as the neighborhood's backyard. It hadn't been done for 45 years. 2 sisters owned the property, and they hadn't done anything to it. They were just sitting here as land, and the neighborhood had used it as their backyard. They were four-wheeling on it. They were picnicking on it. They were hunting on it. So I fenced it in. Now I become the bad new owner because I fenced everybody out. I thought it was important to fence the place in so we could correct what we were doing. We had no intention of doing wine and doing a vineyard at that time.
When you bought the farm, you were not thinking vineyard?
No, it wasn't even on the radar. And a friend of mine says, Bob, 200 acres, what are you going to do with all that? We bought it as a land investment. Get out of the stock market, have a little real estate. He said, what are you going to do with 200 acres? Why don't you plant some grapes? So I didn't know anything about planting grapes. I didn't know anything about making wine. So we liked the wine that was in Napa Valley. So I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm retired. I want to make great wine. I want to make world-class wine. So we went out to Napa where we enjoyed the wine, and we hired a consulting family to work with us. They farm 1,000 acres in Napa, deal with 40 different winemakers. They have become great friends. They come out here every year. We go out there every year. And they gave us some advice on how we could really do a better job with growing world-class grapes. I tell the story. His name is Will Nord. He's pretty well known. He's a really nice family. His daughter's a geologist. She tested our soil. They had a winemaking consultant, a vineyard manager consultant. And again, they became friends. We were their little Georgia project. So they were having fun coming out to Georgia. And so the first time he came out here, Will likes to walk through the vineyards. So Jane and I and Will are walking through the vineyards, and I'm expecting some professorial words of wisdom out of this guy's mouth, all of his credentials. So Will turns to me and says, Bob, do you realize 65% of this business is BS? And Jane says, put it right in. So,
you're like, this sounds right up my alley.
But what he meant by that, if you're drinking wine and like it, it's good. If you don't like it, it's not good. And so that's how I looked at this whole thing. So when I started, I wanted one great white and one great red. I wanted to keep it simple. So our flagship red, my daughter said, name your first wine after the first book of the Bible, Genesis, as your beginning. So we have a red blend, like a Bordeaux blend, and that's our flagship red wine. We sell more bottles of that than anything.
I really like that blend. That's one that I've purchased when I come up here. I really think it stands out.
It is. It's our best seller.
And our flagship white is Chardonnay. We grow a really nice Chardonnay on the property. This is an interesting business because it takes years to really get started to be in a place where you can sell wine.
I was just going to ask that. So just walk me through here. You purchased the farm, and then you had advice, hey, let's plant some vines. You were testing soil, but how long of a process from purchase to wine are we talking? Was it several years?
It could be 8 to 10 years. When you plant a vine, it's 3 to 4 years before you harvest. So you have all that expense of the vine and planting, which is about $20,000 an acre, and then the labor to keep it going. And then when you harvest the grape, it's another 3 or 4 or 5 years before you have a bottle of wine.